Can you hear now? Yes. All right. Woohoo! So I'd like to start over with thank you so much for Single Source Insurance for sponsoring the first, silent 15 minutes of the Wake.Show today. Really appreciate that. All right, I want to welcome in my guest, Steven. Steven, thank you so much for filling in today for Chris McCarty. Steven, we have to catch us up on some stuff.
Sure thing.
Right? Because the last time that you were in here, wait, all right. So which job did you lose?
I haven't lost it yet.
or are you leaving, or what's going on?
They're closing our firm within a year's time.
One of those deals.
Yeah.
Is it a big downsizing thing, or just the firm closing altogether?
They're relocating people to other sites, so you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
All right. But you're still doing your thing with the Lightning.
I am.
All right. So Thunder Alley, for those of you who go down there to Lightning games, you'll see Steven running around doing his thing. And so what do you do now with the Sorry. Before we get into the X's and O's of what you do in the off season, I want to know how responsible you feel for the Lightning not making it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. So backstory for everyone out there: we were doing every time I came in here on a road game, from Eastern Conference divisional rounds and on, we were winning, and every time I didn't come in here, we lost. That includes one game that we lost to Boston, and then 2 to Washington.
Yeah.
So that's on me. I'm going to take the responsibility for my portion of that to Bolts Nation. I do apologize. I'm going to rectify that this coming season. We're going to make things right. We're going to learn from our past experiences and not jinx anything. That one's on me. That one's on me.
You know what's funny about that is fans, it really does feel like sometimes you have an impact. We have an impact of the game. Like if we don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Riley, you too, do you have like,
yes.
Are you superstitious, Riley?
Well, I mean, I can win hockey games from the couch.
That's exactly what we mean. It's exactly what we're talking about.
Actually, every single game that I was sitting on the couch watching the Lightning play with my dad, or the Knights too, the team I was rooting for won.
Oh, man, you should have turned the TV off when the Knights were on, man. Why were you doing that? We could have had us in there maybe.
Yeah.
Or not the Knights. That was freaking me out a little bit.
You weren't watching enough hockey back then.
Yeah.
That was after they beat the Jets.
Okay.
Okay. So you're a good luck charm is what you're saying then?
Yes.
All right then.
Well, you have responsibilities next October, my friend.
Well, I know that there'll be times there in my past. I don't think it's been in recent years, but in my past that I won't watch a game. Like I'll realize, say the Bucks are playing or the Braves, whatever, whoever I was into back, the Seminoles, and I'll flip it on, and it's in the third quarter and they're winning. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to turn it right back off because all of a sudden, if they blow this game, I'm going to blame myself. Okay, now we're going to get into psychology and however that works. I don't know how that works.
Well, the funny thing about it, too, becomes you hear Coach Cooper on the radio or on TV, and I'll think to myself, like, we're fans. We don't have that much involvement other than cheering the team on. And then when he gets on the radio or TV and says, like, it's so important how great our fans are behind us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, God, we do have responsibilities. This is on us. You feel it.
All right, well, welcome to the Wake.Show. Good morning. And my other guest here. So Riley, once again, he is the owner's son. You're thinking, oh, is he being forced on you? Not at all. I've wanted to put Riley on the show since I first met him. You're how old, 11?
11.
All right. And do you remember any of the weapons, ancient weapons that you were schooling me on when I first met you? You had just gotten a book. Was this over Christmas or something like that?
It was over Christmas, yes.
And so I'm thinking about the stuff that I got at 11 years old, and it would have been, slinkies and whatnot. And he's sitting there going through ancient weaponry, and I'm like, okay, first of all, are we raising a little psychopath here? But you seem to have empathy skills. And so tell me about or your favorite weapons that jump out at you from that book.
I remember several weapons. One of them is the Hawaiian spear fork, the Kohoko-o, and it has a forked end on one side.
Hold on, I'm looking this up, by the way, as you're doing this.
It's mostly used to poke out your opponent's eyes.
All right, it's called a Hawaiian what?
Kohoko-o.
And how do you spell Kohoko-o?
Actually,
type in spear fork?
Spear fork, yeah.
All right. Spear. Oh, that's not a highly Googled thing.
Yeah.
It did not intuitively guess that. All right, so here's...
No, that's not it.
That's not it?
That's not it.
Maybe
how about if I do
Hawaiians.
ancient?
Yeah,
ancient.
There we go.
Here we go.
That dog will hunt.
then maybe it'll
Yeah,
work.
maybe.
That's
no.
not it either.
No. All right, I think I get the idea though. A spear fork, I think, is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the weapon you would take into the apocalypse, there, Riley.
No, not at all.
Also, I do want to start off the show like this. I think it's also interesting that it's National Handshake Day, buddy. How do you feel about the handshake? Are you still shaking hands these days, or are you a fist bumper or something like this? Because in the days, we seem to be a little bit more germophobic these days. But if Riley, I'm gonna shake both of your hands first of all, because it's National Handshake Day. You guys stay. Here we go. Yeah, that's fine. And there we go. Boom. Nice handshake over here. And then, come right there. We go. There we go, Riley. Right here in front of the camera. There we go. Nice handshake.
That was quality. See, you guys, it's twofold. It's the eye contact.
Oh, no.
You all right, buddy?
You all right?
I'm fine.
It's the eye contact. I've noticed in adulthood, if someone's looking at my shoes when I shake their hand, I've got question marks. Then I'm like, where are you up here?
So are you saying because you're talking about people, it seems like, especially the younger generation, has issues with eye contact?
Yeah, it's the firmness of the handshake, and are they looking me in the eye? The whole point of a handshake is let's become acquainted. Let's make this an established area where we're both respecting one another.
Yes.
Let's also make eye contact at the same time so I know what your intentions are. There's a respect that's going back and forth. And I feel like if you're looking off in the distance when you shake my hand or looking down, I feel like there could be a lot to be garnered from a very brief moment there.
Yes, but let me tell you something about this kid over here. This
that kid
Riley.
looked me dead in the eyes.
All right.
Right in the windows of my soul.
And squeezed. I dominate this conversation. In this interaction. So I've got to know Riley, and I'm really building you up here for no reason whatsoever. But I guess I've been impressed by you as an 11-year-old, and especially in this era where my generation is looking back at or looking forward, at the generations coming up, going, oh, they're lazy, they're this, they're da 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 da, and then you meet somebody like this, you're like, hey man, this he's got it, he seems to have it together. Now listen, you've got puberty coming up and your teen years, and so there's a lot, and then young adulthood, college, so there's a lot of ways for you to mess up between now and then. But one of the cool things, Steven, is we were out at a professional dinner. What's Ocean Prime?
Ocean Prime, yes.
Ocean Prime,
nice,
right? And so
delicious.
That was a great night.
So good.
That was a good night. So Riley's there, and there's probably 10 or 12 of us all together, and other people came in later afterwards, right? Every person that walked into the room, he would get up, and he was the only person that did it. His dad didn't do it. He would get up, walk around the table, and shake their hand.
Yeah, man.
Which is it's funny that you're in here on National Handshake Day. So where
what a coincidence.
Well, right. Where do you? By the way, are they coincidences or is it fate? Is it some weird sign from somewhere?
A lot of pressure.
We just want to talk philosophy now, Riley.
Yeah, a little Socrates if you want.
I mean, I guess it's a coincidence. It has to be a coincidence.
Okay, it's all right. It's a science brain right there. It's an engineer's brain. All right. So where did that come from, by the way? Because I was very impressed. My wife was very impressed. She actually was the one that pointed out. She leaned into me. Goes, you see that he's standing up and shaking everybody's hand. That and you were at the opposite end of everybody. You had to walk around every single time. So where did that come from?
I mean, I don't really know. I guess I started shaking people's hands and opening the door first last year, but I don't know why exactly.
Really? So it wasn't one of those things that your dad was like, hey, this is what you need to do, or something like that? You were just saying it just felt right, and so you make sure that you shake everybody's hand that walks in the room.
Yeah,
All right.
All
right.
Well, your parents are proud, young man. I can guarantee that.
What can you get from a handshake? Have you learned to read a man by his handshake yet?
Well, like
Steven,
sorry. Like Steven said, it does kind of give you the reassurance. Like, it lets you know that you could trust them. Mm-hmm. And also, the way someone gives you the handshake, whether it's the regular or the confused handshake, that one's my favorite.
The confused, like you don't know.
Trying to give the fist bump and then the handshake and then you end up with a high five somehow.
I can solve this for you. Don't worry. Here, I'm going to come over to you real quick. So if someone goes in for it, we'll do it in front of the camera. You give me the fist bump, or you give me the high five. You make a little turkey, and then everyone's okay.
All right, you have to do that lower. You have to do that lower. It was out of frame.
Oh, was it? All right.
All right, there you go. All right, well,
You
that's...
can wave the feathers. You can wave the feathers. I'll wave the gizzard and beak, and everyone's friends after that.
All right. Well, so Riley, we've got that out of the
So
way.
weird.
Welcome into the conversation. I'm glad that you're here, and we'll talk about a couple of things today. Make it a nice, fun Thursday. And for those of you that are watching home, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. First up, it's McDonald's Muffin Tops is one of the big stories of today. Have you noticed we're not going hard? We're not going politics. Let's see. Oh yeah, we could be talking about Supreme Court justices. I don't know. You're into the topics of the day, right, Stephen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's with the day job and everything that's going on and watching how that impacts the markets and the world. And
Okay.
it's fascinating what's going on right now. But don't
So-
you feel the fatigue a little bit?
The politics fatigue?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why. Well, I mean, one of the things that Chris has done a great job of, I don't think it's been like this methodical da-da-da. I think it's more like, I don't want to talk about this shit every single day, man. We can't just come in. And not only that, but, how qualified are we to talk about the politics of the day? We can just talk about how we feel about it. I'm not going to sit here and pound my fist and go, oh, left wing this, right wing that. Just go, hey, man, as a citizen, here's my view on things right now. I'm feeling a little nervous about this, or I'm feeling excited about that, and that's all I can add to the political discussion. You follow the X's and O's of it.
Yeah, I'm in that point right now. I'm starting to think, when you have those problems and you think on them and it's like a puzzle and you can't solve it and you can't solve it and you get away
Grind
from it
away.
for like 2 days and you come back and you're like, oh, the answer has come to me in my freedom and in doing other things.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of need that as a country. So I'm all about all of us stepping away for a hot minute, getting back in touch with loved ones, going and doing some yoga, getting some sun, wearing some sunscreen this time of year, so we're not all caught on
Definitely.
fire. It's already 92 at, 11:30 this morning?
Yeah. All right, then. Well, then I do want you to know the only two main things that I brought for discussion as far as topics are concerned have nothing to do with, like I said, the politics of the day. Two things that I think are exciting. Muffin Tops at McDonald's. This is not paid advertising, by the way. This is coming also from a guy who is currently in ketosis and cannot have sugar.
Attaboy.
Or very, very little carbs. And so the thought now that there's just Muffin Tops being waiting for me just to be plucked out of McDonald's everywhere. Anywhere. Where am I? And another story that I want to get to, and I know this is up Steven's alley, and I have a feeling Riley's alley as well, and that is ingredients for life have been discovered in our solar system.
It's so rad.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
Ingredients for life discovered gushing out of Saturn's moon. So that's one of the things we'll be talking. I'm not qualified to talk about that either, but I can read somewhat. So, all right. So let's get to Muffin Tops first of all. Did we all know what we're talking about when we're talking about Muffin Tops? So now first of all, you remember as soon as I brought it up earlier, Stephen, you remembered the Seinfeld episode that.
Of course.
All right. Sharon just asked, am I ever allowed to eat carbs again? I will be allowed. Well, first of all, I can have 5% carbs per day, and it better be in leafy greens, avocado, beans, or not beans, or I don't know if I can't remember if I'm allowed to have beans or not, nuts, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as staying in this particular place where I'm eating 70 to 80% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbs, I think this is short term, right? Now, Stephen, you've done keto before.
3 months.
3 months. Mm-hmm. Why would you do keto, or were you huge at some point?
No, I had a buddy who was doing it with some friends and family, and I was kind of wanting to be the guinea pig of what would it do to me at my size. It was fascinating.
So just for fun.
It was more or less for fun. The fascinating part about it, I don't know if you'll probably get there sooner than later. My brain was clicking on another level that I've never felt before. And with what we were doing at Amelie, where I'm doing this stuff pregame on Ford Thunder Rally or doing a watch party, the immediate thing I noticed was I have a script that's more like bullet points and guidelines of what I should be saying. And traditionally, I'll have the script there, and as I'm reading one thing, I'll look down and get a glimpse of what I should be doing for the next read, so on and so forth, for a couple minutes. It was like I was locked and loaded. My brain was saying, your next sentence is this. Don't look down at the paper. You know what to say. What? And that went on for a month. Like the last real month I was in the thick of it, it was like so efficient. The thing was I started to kind of, the second your family and friends are like, hey, man, everything okay?
Yeah.
Like my face was kind of hollowing out a little bit. Like I'm not a particularly big guy anyway, so if I start losing fat, like the second people are like wondering if something's wrong with me, that was my cue to, all right, let's add in some carbs again.
Yeah, the last time that I did anything like this, try to lose a significant amount of weight, I think it was the B12 shots and the ephedra, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
And you ate, I think, 800 calories a day. And so basically every single day I would have like a chicken breast or something, a chicken breast and a couple slices of ham or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I got to that point too. And I was excited because I'm getting down into the 2 teens, and I hadn't been in the 2 teens forever. But yeah, a good friend, Danielle, as a matter of fact, she was on the show.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
man, I love Danielle.
Show episode 132. She had that conversation with me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, but I feel fine. She's like, well, and this was so awesome. She goes, you have a really big head. And it just doesn't, she goes, it just doesn't look right. It wasn't even like the gaunt, and it looked like my skin's starting to melt off me. She's like, you just have such a huge noggin that it looks like, now that you've gotten this skinny, like at any moment, your head's going to just topple, just fall onto the floor. So I got back up to 250 as quick as I possibly could from that point. Nikki, my mind is playing tricks on me. I've not been craving certain foods I ate often, but now I have been thinking more about them. I miss bread and pasta. Ooh, that's a tough addiction right there. I just bought no-carb bread online. Haven't got into it or got it yet. I'm hoping it's decent. We just ordered coconut flour and almond flour, so we're going to try some of those baking recipes that we see as well. Because my wife's on board now, and this is awesome. And she's already down a couple of pounds in her first couple of days, so she's feeling pretty good about it. Any fad diets you've ever tried there, Riley?
No.
The straight French fries from the cafeteria diet. Have you done that one yet? That one's a good one. It's really good for focus in school. It's not. I was kidding, Riley. Please don't do that. You need a nice balanced day.
So this brings us back to the muffin top. One of the things that used to be I loved, and I still love, I just can't have, is, believe it or not, it's a 7-Eleven muffin. I don't know who bakes the 7-Eleven stuff, but their donuts, yeah, their cruller, the apple fritter is amazing. And their blueberry muffin, I can't believe I'm sitting there talking about a convenience store muffin. Because you guys are going to go, oh, really? Have you seen this bakery in Largo? This bakery over here, this bakery. And you're trying to tell me that the 7-Eleven, muffin is the way to go. It was very convenient. And I would get it on the way to work at about 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And, but that's the way I would eat it, because it would come in its little wrapper, right? And I just would eat all around. I'd eat the muffin top and then okay, well, I'm not letting this go to waste. I'm going to eat it, but it surely was not my favorite part. So now it looks like McDonald's has taken the best part of the muffin and is going to put it on the menu. And I have a feeling it's going to be a huge hit. Do you remember the episode, Steven?
I sure do.
All right.
What are you doing with the stumps?
Is that what they called them? The stumps?
I think that's what they were doing, was they were taking the stumps to, I think it was a shelter, and then they weren't eating the stumps. They thought, well, where's the top of this muffin? I think that was the whole point of it.
So this originally comes from Seinfeld. Is that something you think that McDonald's had to pay for? I wonder how that kind of stuff works. I guess they probably didn't trademark muffin tops. It's probably too generic, right?
Right, but I wonder what they're going to do with... How are they making these? Is that just witchcraft? You just sort of leave it to all right, best left unknown or unsolved. You get muffin tops.
I don't know. Or do they just get rid of the stumps?
That would be a lot of product thrown into the trash.
Well, then that's most of the muffin.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you just? Well, let's get to the story. See if we can find it.
I think they make a muffin in a different shape. I think that's all it is.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably not even technically a muffin. It just looks like a muffin top.
Yeah.
And we'll buy it. We'll spend millions on it. Let's see. In a gambit to reclaim sagging breakfast sales, McDonald's is taking a page From Seinfeld here, according to CBSNews.com. McDonald's is looking at selling just the tops of the muffin, the best part. This comes from a 1997 episode. I didn't even know that they were hurting. So I guess going to this 24-hour breakfast has now compromised their breakfast sales. So they're trying to get more people flowing through during breakfast. Consumers are expected to see an elephant. I'll tell you what, that's what I miss on this keto thing, man. McGriddles. Sausage, cheese, egg McGriddle.
You can do everything just without the...
Then it's not a McGriddle. Then it's not a griddle. Then it's just sausage. But you know what, though? That is a great point because, man, I have horrible tastes. Because I was getting ready to also plug one of my favorite sausages in the world. And that's the McDonald's sausage patty. I absolutely love that thing. And it's probably not even, again, some of you are going to go, oh, yeah, you think that's awesome. Well, you should check out this meat shop over here. This meat shop locally sourced everything. And you're sitting there plugging McDonald's sausage patties.
Do you ever feel like it's tied to memories, though? Like the reason you like those foods so much is because they're tied to something. The reason I bring it up is every time I get McDonald's breakfast, which is pretty rare now, but when I do, it's always a flashback to being with the family and we were going somewhere. We were going to an air show. We were going to a theme park and we were stopping by McDonald's for breakfast. So it's like every time I eat that, it's not even like I'm tasting the food, but I'm remembering those experiences and getting in the van and heading somewhere.
Yes.
Maybe. Same with you, Riley?
Yeah, not really with food, but more with like movies and shows.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, like I still like Pee Wee Herman's.
You don't have to be a Pee Wee Herman apologist on this show. Pee Wee's Big Adventure is one of my favorite movies of like back in the early 90s, so you don't worry about that.
Well, how would a kid your age even know Pee Wee Herman, or how would you be introduced to that?
Well, I mean, I watched it when I was like 4 or 5, and then it just recently came up in conversation. And I watched an episode or one of the movies, and I like it.
That is interesting that you like that, because it is not. I don't know. It's a goofy movie.
It's so goofy.
And I'm surprised that a modern day 11-year-old would like. I figured if I were to guess, I would have guessed that you would have been like, no, that's stupid. I watched 5 minutes of it and turned it off. But I guess an 11-year-old is an 11-year-old, no matter what generation you're in.
Man.
All right, thank you so much to Single Source Insurance for being the sponsor of the first 15 minutes of the Wake.Show, which turned into 27 minutes a day thanks to my ADD and not being able to pay attention to simple things. Nikki says, ooh, I'm sad now. Oh, my God, I love McGriddles. Hey, you hang in there, Nikki, me and you, all right? We've got this. We've got this. Down another pound a day.
And Nikki, a big thing, don't forget, like you get to a point where you aren't going to crave some of these things as much. Like I remember in the thick of it, like sugar, that craving goes away. And eventually you seek out the things you've been eating because they've made you feel good. So like you want a cut of meat, or you want an avocado, or you want a spinach salad. You'll start seeking those out. It takes a hot minute, but it's coming, Nikki, don't worry.
Right. You won't want the lemon poppy seed or blueberry or double chocolate muffin top.
Is that what they're offering?
Yeah, that's what they're offering. It's only 160 calorie blueberry muffin top.
Oh.
Is that what they look like?
Well, that better be a big ass muffin top for 160 calories. I'm going to get in there and one of these little mini things for 160 calories. Sharon, she says, during the school year, I make muffins every weekend for the week. For the week, I will not eat store-bought muffins with all those preservatives in them. They are easy to make, and you can use almond flour. All right. Well, then I'm going to make my own muffins, my own blueberry muffins eventually, because I can eventually include some fruit, and it's going to be stuff like blueberries. I don't think I can go crazy with bananas or anything like that with all the sugar in there. All right. So I am down another pound. I was told not to get on the scale every single day. I've heard that before. I understand it, but I can't help it. And also, I'm not going to get discouraged. If I get on the scale 3 days in a row and I haven't lost weight or I've gone up or something like that, that's just going to make me focus even more and go, all right, what am I doing wrong? Whatever. It's not going to make me go, I can't do this. And so I'm going to give up on it.
What's your exercise regimen?
Well, first of all, it's to punch people in the throat that ask me about my
That's a good. That's like 20 calories right there, man.
That's right. For people that get on me about exercise,
I was just curious.
you and Chris, I just start swinging, and whatever exercise I get out of
Whatever it takes to make you do it, man. We're all about it.
Listen, man, we're in phase 1 of this. Okay, phase 1 is just denying the carbs, trying to get none of these were easy for me, Steven.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, Chris, there's Chris. Hey, buddy, I hope your day's going okay.
Hey, man.
By the way, yeah, go ahead. There you go.
Hey, Chris.
It took 2 people to fill your seat today, Chris. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
Exercise regimens and my throat getting punched very shortly.
This kind of stuff's not easy for me, and so these are all the things that have to really come together in order to make it to work. And so this is denying the carbs, prepping food, which is just prepping anything has just never been my thing. Also loading all of my stuff, so keeping track of the food and loading it into the app. I mean, every single ounce of everything that I eat and drink, everything, because you want to make sure your percentages are right on this. It has to be exact. So all these things are very much against my personality. They're easy for me to fail in those categories. Keeping track of stuff, that is just not me at all. On a scale from 1 to 10, it is somewhere between 0 and 1. So that's where we are now. We're week 3. Now you say Eric has said, oh shoot, let me see if Eric is even around this morning. I wanted to talk to him today. Let's see. Sorry, just getting back to you. Can we do tomorrow? I had to run again. Yes, we can do tomorrow, which is today, period. LOL, period. Are you available before 12:30? Question mark. Probably not. He's probably not going to get that in time, but we'll see here. So you guys have told me that somewhere around week 3 or 4, around week 3 or 4 is when you will feel that shift and that crazy energy you were talking about in your brain. This clarity comes.
Yeah.
So I'm right there. This is week 3.
Well, the catch is make sure you're doing things you want to do. Like for my brother wasn't doing the diet, but for his exercise, my brother goes to the gym 5-6 days a week. It shows. Brother's in fantastic shape. Hi, Michael. And it shows. But you have to do exercising that you want to do. I can't do what he does. I'll go to the gym maybe 2-3 days a week. But I want to go skateboarding. I want to go do hot yoga because I want to go do those things.
Be active, yep.
Yeah, it's not about exercising just like, I need to go do this thing, because then you're never going to want to do it. You have to find the things you want to do.
I think where I'm with you. I need to get active. The gym has never been my friend.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of anxiety and mental stuff that I have to get over just to walk into a gym. But even working out at home, I get very despondent very quickly. So I think something like the first thing in the morning is this is what I'd like to do, but I can't seem to do it. Is just hop out of bed and walk out the door and just keep walking. Just walk. And just in the beginning, and then see, because I have such issues getting my day started that I think that would help so much, except for the fact that I can't get up and just walk out the door. and I'm too scared to tell my wife, like, if I were to tell Lauren, hey, honey, I need a favor. I need you to kick my rear end out of bed. Oh, Chris McCarty's going, hey, go with your boy. Hey, I go to the gym every single day. Just meet me. Screw you, Chris. I'll be hurt. I will, after day 1, I'll be like, I don't want to go back. I'm afraid to tell my wife this because I know she will follow through. Honey, when you get up in the morning, push me out of bed and just tell me to slip into some shorts and some shoes and walk out the door. Take the dogs or whatever. Because then I'm afraid she's actually going to make me do that. And I don't know. See, they're just issues. I got to figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
So Nikki, Sharon, do you like to swim? I do enjoy swimming. I know that Sharon swims a lot of laps or an hour a day or something like that. Nikki, yes, Sharon, I do. Oh, she's talking. Sorry, I didn't mean to butt in your conversation. I didn't realize there was a conversation going on between you two. Sorry that I assumed it was pointed to me. Although it does make sense since my name is not Nikki. I live in a little Podunk town. They just started a spin class. Okay, well, you guys continue your conversation over here. I want to get to some science. Let's get to some science. So how's your Riley, as an 11-year-old these days, what kind of trouble do you plan on getting in over the summer? So at 11, you're reaching that age where you start testing your father's watch right now. Don't you dare, Fisher! Don't you dare! You start testing your limitations and your boundaries. What do you got going on this summer? I know you've been around here a lot playing games.
Yeah.
Is that good enough for you? Playing some board games, playing different active games, reading. You like to read?
I like to read. I like to play board games. I like to play card games. I like to play Sea of Thieves on the Xbox.
You look like you're having a great old time. I was getting seasick watching you, buddy. I had to look away.
Oh, yeah. We walk in here, and these two start talking about video games, and Steven sounds like an 11-year-old himself.
You gotta know your audience, man. I come down there. He comes up here. It works perfectly.
What do you mean come down there? That is part of your lifestyle. He's like, man.
Oh, no, I mean, like, to that level of, like, oh, man, remember just wild imagination and, like, being 11 and, like, oh, I can just go outside and get a stick and imagine things.
Yep.
For a long time.
He's like, yeah. Riley's like, yeah. I remember when I could do that too.
Riley's like, they got sticks out back here. They don't hardly ever use, man. We got playtime for hours.
I mean, I moved out of a neighborhood in Tampa, and in that neighborhood, there were kids that we would meet up on Saturdays and Sundays, and we would go pick up a stick, and we would go explore the woods.
Why not, man?
Let's go find dead stuff and poke it. Oh, I think that raccoon's dead. Yeah. No, it's not. All right, so now let's turn to some science. You a big fan of science? So what are your favorite subjects, Riley, before we get into science today?
Probably science and art.
Nice. All right, well, you're going to teach me something about art. I don't know anything about art. I dropped out of community college just because I was so frustrated of failing humanities over and over and over again. It bothered me, Stephen.
It's fair. Humanities, they can get you, though.
Humanities bothered me because they would sit there and tell me like what artists were thinking 1,500 years ago. I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know what was going? I have a feeling that nobody knows what was going through Da Vinci's mind or Michelangelo's mind because they are in a plane that all these idiots. What you think? I don't even know. I'm getting worked up on behalf of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. So here we go.
But going back and seeing all that stuff from those days, the only thing you can interpret from those days is the things they written down. Anything that's not written down that was like, I was thinking this, you're inferring, and you might even be projecting a little bit of what you're thinking. That's where sometimes it gets a little sticky.
Mona Lisa fascinates me.
It's fair.
Why? Actually, I still don't get it. This is how I know that I don't know art.
It's hypnotic, though. There's something about her.
There obviously is. I mean, it's been 500 years or more than 500 years since. Do you know anything about that? You're the art guy.
Actually, I know that the Mona Lisa used to not be good. It used to be just average? A painting, just an average painting of a woman. But then it was stolen. And then it was returned to the museum. And
that's when it became famous?
That's how it became famous.
Really?
Yes. That's how it became famous.
Yeah. But it's captivated people now for 500 years, where people just stand. And I get it. I mean, you sit there and you look at it. There is something. It does look like it's like she's looking back at you. Here's my answer. It looks like she's looking back at me, and she knows something that I don't know. And that's why I keep staring.
Say that.
That's what it seems like to me.
Say that. Yeah.
It's because that little smirk is kind of like, I know something you don't know. You're like, tell me, Mona. Tell me.
I don't like her lack of eyebrows. That's what I don't like about that painting. It's creepy because
I didn't know the Mona Lisa didn't have eyebrows.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't have eyebrows.
Wait, hold on. One of my favorite indie rock bands, Mona Lisa's eyebrows. But Mona Lisa's eyebrows. Hidden message. We'll click on that one. Let's see. In 2000, French engineer announced it was ultra high resolution scene of the painting, proven evidence that Mona Lisa was originally painted. Oh, so I guess the eyelashes have worn off over time.
Oh, I see.
And in 2007, this guy confirmed or announced that his ultra high resolution did show that she'd once had eyebrows. I never knew she didn't have eyebrows.
Fascinating. Yeah, I never even noticed that until right now. And now I'm never going to be able to see anything other than she not having eyebrows.
Right.
Yeah, that's the same thing like the nativity scene. There was a meme on the internet that it was two Tyrannosauruses fighting over a watermelon. I can never see anything but the two T-Rexes fighting over the watermelon anymore.
I don't. Is this also a Da Vinci?
No.
Oh, what?
No, it's like an actual nativity scene, like on Christmas.
Oh. I'm like, man, we should have brought up art. I look like an idiot. I really look like an idiot in front of this 11-year-old. Your dad just posted, "Dang, Riley, dropping knowledge." And then Adam goes, "This kid spits fire. He's a delight." All right. So back to what coming out of the news today. Last fall, and as NASA celebrated Cassini spacecraft spiral toward its final. Here we go. Sorry about that. There we go. Descent into Saturn's clouds. Astrochemist Morgan Cable couldn't help but shed a tear for the school bus-sized orbiter, which became a victim of its own success. Early in its mission, while flying past Saturn's ice-covered moon Enceladus, Cassini discovered jets of ice and salt water gushing from cracks in the South Pole, a sign that the body contained a subsurface ocean that could harbor life. When the orbiter began to run low on fuel, it smashed itself into Saturn rather than risk a wayward plunge that would contaminate the potentially habitable world. So that was an interesting thing that happened last year, or when this happened, is that it's funny because when our scientists are sending these probes out and we're doing what we're doing, one of the things that they don't want to do is contaminate these other worlds and moons and stuff like that in our solar system. So they have it plunge into Saturn. You're like, well, you're going to contaminate Saturn. No, you're not. It's a gas giant, and as it,
nothing can live on Saturn.
Right.
You can't even stand on Saturn.
Right. It's got a molten metal core too, I think, or something like that, a liquid core.
Which is actually as hot as the surface of the sun.
Really?
With Jupiter too.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. Riley learns this stuff in school and reading books. I learned this stuff watching Discovery Channel and Science Channel. It's a fascinating thing that I just learned recently watching Discovery Channel is that the beginning of the solar system, what is now the sun has like 98% or 99%, something ridiculous up there, of all the mass in our solar system. Mm-hmm. So all the mass in our entire solar system, which goes way out past the Oort cloud, is contained in the sun, and then the 99% of what's left is contained in Saturn, and then everything that last 1% or something like that is scattered throughout everything, Earth and Venus and and everything else.
Yeah, it's 99% is the sun, and then 99% of the 1%, I believe, is Jupiter. Mm-hmm. And then the rest would fit into Jupiter.
Right. That's amazing to me. So here we go. So they try not to contaminate these worlds, especially these worlds that we think are habitable. And what's interesting is that the worlds that are habitable in our own solar system are moons, it seems to be, of these other planets. So now back to the story. Now from beyond the grave, the spacecraft has offered yet another prize for scientists. New analysis suggests those icy plumes shooting into space contain complex organic compounds, the essential building blocks of living things. The fact that an aging orbiter not designed for life detection was able to sense these molecules, which are among the largest and most complex organics found in the solar system, makes the icy moon an even more tantalizing target in search for extraterrestrial life. They did a movie already on this that was horrible. They've already played out this plot, and I saw it either last year or the year before because I was excited. Because I think, Steven, you and I watch the same shows, or do you read stuff too?
I do both.
You do both.
Yeah.
I should really learn to read one day. Well, the problem with reading for me is that it is so relaxing. Mm. And so if I want to go to sleep, I start reading. But anyway, but yeah, the premise was we landed on one of these things, we got down into the ice, and it wasn't just molecules that, were in the sub-terrestrial, whatever. It was all kinds of beasts and whatnot. So, but it was a horrible movie. Please, it was not worth it. You saw the movie? You know what I'm talking about?
No, but it sounds terrible.
It was. It had a chance, but it was. So that is very exciting there.
Isn't it fascinating when you go back and you hear about Galileo and all of these, not astronauts, what am I about to say? Scientists from back in the day that were doing all of these astronomers and these surveys from back in the day. What must it have been like to get the telescope out and look up, what is this thing? It's got a ring around it. What are we looking at? And you have no idea. You're the first people to have ever seen it. It's the one thing that sticks out amongst the stars. And I mean, now it's easy when you're in like a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood. Like my brother and our friends, we'll get the telescope out and we'll look up. But it's the one bright thing, so we know to look at it. Forget, you guys have been like out in the country, I'm sure, and stuff, when you look up at the night sky.
Oh, yeah.
Millions of stars. How did they know to pick out the one thing that had rings around it, or Jupiter with the one dot on it?
Yeah, because you go back to Galileo, and that was the 1600s. Does that sound right to you?
That sounds right.
I think it's the 1600s.
And he discovered, or he saw back then, 4, 5, 6 moons around Jupiter. From and you're right. How do you even know to look for those little smudges?
And this is what my brother taught me the other day. Was that's what got him in trouble with the church, was because he was saying these moons are orbiting Jupiter. They're not orbiting us, which means the Earth's not the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, you got to go to jail now. That was
the way
end of it.
we found out, actually, that, originally they thought that everything orbited the Earth, and then they changed it to everything orbited the sun. But like everything. The way we figured it out is Galileo, I believe, actually looked at Venus, and it would go past the sun. And
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's in their orbits, at some points it looks like one's in front of the other, and then the other will pass, or something weird like that. And so, doing the mathematics on that, you realize that the orbit has to be a certain way, or something like that.
yes.
Hey, non-scientists and an 11-year-old talking about science today. Hope you guys are learning nothing.
I have a degree in sport management. Everything's going to be fine.
I don't have any degrees.
I just completed. What are you going into the 6th grade?
The 7th grade.
The 7th grade. Good God.
Middle school, man. Those were the proving grounds, if you will.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. You'll be all right. Just get through it. Go to high school. High school's a blast.
Cord says that 0.5% of our solar system is Fisher's Head.
Oh, my God.
Well done.
Cords delivering pain.
Great job. And Nikki says Riley's super intelligent. Sharon, the problem with moons and other planets, they need an atmosphere for humans. I believe nitrogen is our most common element. Is nitrogen the most common element in the universe?
It is.
It's not hydrogen?
Actually,
What is it? Do you know?
It's nitrogen.
It is?
Yeah, in our atmosphere, it's about 75% nitrogen. I don't know why we don't breathe nitrogen, because I feel like that would just be so much more plentiful.
I don't know either.
But,
I don't know either. Let's see. What's the
nature
most?
just decided.
Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. You guys are. Oh wait, that is right, because that's the first one, right?
It's one molecule.
One molecule. Okay.
Yeah.
What did I say? Helium. Sorry about that for being stupid.
I think you said hydrogen.
Oh, hydrogen.
Yeah.
Okay. Hydrogen.
Nitrogen's just the most common element in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys were saying nitrogen. Yeah, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe.
Nice.
And the nitrogen you said is the most abundant in our. All right, I'll trust you guys on that one. That was fun. Let's see. John Riley, smartest kid I know. That's coming from John Owen Sr. Is that? I'm assuming.
That's my grandfather.
Your grandfather?
Nice.
I usually call him Granddaddy John, so that's why I took him on.
That's a solid grandpa name. Granddaddy John. That's a good one.
All right. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are good. No music today. Chris isn't here today, so we're not going to end the show with something some music. And Pat Largo says, I've learned more now in a fun way than all my years of schooling.
Nice.
And Cords goes 79%. What did you say the atmosphere was, or nitrogen in the atmosphere?
I said 75.
75? Oh, well, you were off by 4% there, Riley. Just got fact checked. You got fact checked by your own father. So back in school, were you into science before we go, Steve? No, Steven. He's into science.
Here's the thing.
Were you into girls? You into sports? You into?
I got into everything. Like once college came around, I was there was like no direction, and my brother he's an engineer, and our friends were all scientists. But like I've always been a musician and sports guy. And so having that balance was great. Like I didn't realize I like engineering. Of course, like the first year of grad school as I'm about to leave the college setting is right when you start discovering the things that you love. It's all right though. We'll see what happens in life. That's half the fun of it. Is
you
the panic of what am I going to do?
Right. You can't go back and do it over again. But and it's almost like a moot exercise. But there's a part of me, if I could go back, I would get into the sciences. And I probably would try to combine the two things. Like, so the charismatic entertainment part of my life with the science part of things, and become something like a meteorologist. So that way I can be in the sciences, study that kind of stuff, and at the same time be on television, giving you the weather every single day. So if I had to do over, I'd probably do something like that, or just forget the media altogether and go study rocks. Just start, well, it's fat. I mean, as a kid, Riley, like I'm so impressed that you even care about this kind of stuff, because as a kid, I did not care about this kind of stuff at all. I couldn't wait for G.I. Joe to come on, or whatever was coming next. But then as an adult, I'm sitting there watching these shows, and I'm watching a geologist as passionate about what he's talking about, or she's talking about, as a sports commentator is calling a game. And they're showing how you can just sit there and look at the layers at the Grand Canyon, and to them it's like reading a book. To them, it's they see the story of that area right there in the rocks, and to me that is just so amazing. The more you know. It
really is. I mean, I have friends that are like, I don't care why it rains.
Right.
Just
the sun
don't want
comes
it to
up,
rain
the sun
outside.
goes down.
Right.
I mean, usually I do ask why. Like, I have to know. I have to know why it happens.
No, curiosity is going to suit you well in adulthood.
I
Don't worry
cannot.
about that. Yeah.
I cannot just accept anything.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever shared this with you, and I don't know what the quote is, but there's something about curious brains. Those curious brains, those will take you far. When you stop being curious, that's when you become, I don't know, you probably internalize things.
Sure.
You become the center of the universe. Everything's about you and da-da-da. But as long as you stay curious and going, why? I love. By the way, are you one of those kids that keep their hand raised, or every time a teacher's, wait a second, you just said something. I got a follow-up question to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably have my hand raised 20 times per class in each class. I mean, I just have to know.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you on that one. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Actually, the only class that I don't usually raise my hand is PE.
I was going to say,
Pick me. No, don't pick me. I want to go read my book. How important do you think PE is to the curriculum of kids these days?
I think it's very important, because I know as soon as some of these kids get home, they're playing their games. They're basically just sitting down and not moving. And as long as you have that hour, like 3 hours a week, at least of PE.
At least, yeah.
Oh, PE was the best, man.
Oh yes, yes.
What do you usually play when you do PE, buddy? You a kickball guy?
I mean, no.
Tetherball?
No, a lot of people say they like kickball, and then everybody quits by the third inning.
Why? Because there's just one kid that keeps kicking the ball out of the park, and
No. It's just like nobody can agree what the rules to kickball are.
Oh, okay. All right. So Sharon says my geology, and Sharon's a teacher herself.
Nice.
And she said that her geology professor is crazy about rocks. I say, look at rocks and ask, why would anybody care? But he's one of those people that are passionate about them. Nikki, before we go, has a question for Riley. As an 11-year-old young man who seems to have his act together, does Riley know what he wants to be in the future?
I would like to work in front of the camera like this too, but I think I would like to be on a fishing show. That would be my...
Nice.
Good for you, buddy.
Right.
I'd start that now.
Fun job.
Yeah, start that right now. And by the time you're 13, you'll have 1 million people following you as you're tying knots and stuff like. Yeah. Oh yeah. So Steven, the second time I meet this kid, if I remember correctly, I talk to him, disparage this kid, this chump. The first time I meet him, he's telling me about ancient weaponry. Right. The second time, I believe he had just taught himself how to tie lures.
I didn't teach myself to tie flies, but I was tying a lot of them at that time.
He's going to be so self-sufficient when the zombies come. He's got the ancient weapons done. You've got the fishing. You're going to be able to protect yourself and feed yourself. I'm really proud of you, man. You're like on the next level of human evolution right now.
No
Good
kidding.
job, buddy.
Yeah, so people, let's not get too hung up on this next generation or the generation after that, and they're to this or they're to that. There's plenty in every single generation that are going to rise to the top. By the way, no pressure.
Yeah. You'll be fine, probably.
You might have to carry. Yeah. You carry the back of it. You're on your back is an entire generation. So it's up to you to make sure that you don't let us down. So don't worry about it. Screw up the planet right now. They'll clean it up. No big deal. And tomorrow we're very excited. Let's see. Tell them to reach out. The fish pod. You know what? There are some guys. Yeah, we could court your dad and I, or mainly your dad. Can hook you up. There's some fishing podcasts here local. Some big. There's plenty of this stuff right here you could tap into right now. All right. Speaking of Brett, looking forward to having him here tomorrow on the show. And Chris will be back tomorrow as well. And our guest tomorrow has said that he's quit his job and he's going to go live his dream. And he says, in part, inspired by this show and about just leaving things behind and trying something new, putting yourself in an uncomfortable space and going, this is my passion, this is my love. I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to figure it out as I go. Right so on. It's a grown man. It's not like a 21-year-old either. It's a grown man who tomorrow is his last day. I believe, I think he's just going to go in the morning and finish up some paperwork and head out and then come over here and sit down on the show tomorrow. Hey, bring your guitar. Bring your guitar and we'll have some fun. All right, Carrie Cia says Riley seems like a great kid. He's all right, and then that's it. Martin, how you doing, buddy? So thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show again today. Thanks for the likes, the shares, the engagements. You have a wonderful Thursday. I will be out tonight doing trivia blind pass, and that is at Masteries Brewing Company, starting at 7 o'clock. If you'd like to join, got some beers to give away, first, second, and third place prizes to give away as well. Other than that, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Right on.
Oh, yeah, and thank you, Steve. Well, thank you, Stephen, for coming by.
No problem. And anytime you want me to come by, I'd be happy to be on the show.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you.